welcome to part 2 of When a Customer. If you watch part 1, you'll know what I'm on about. If you haven't watched part 1, you don't have to watch that first, you can just go back and watch that one after. So if the customer wants an invoice, this tends to happen with landlords because they will kind of put it on their expenses kind of thing as a business that they're kind of running with the property or whatever. It's basically just a record, essentially it's a record of the work you've done really, so they can kind of keep evidence for that. What I do, I've basically just got a little Excel template thing that I kind of fill in the blanks and just fire that off to the customer via email. Basically got like, if you got like the price, the date, the property, your details on there, the job you've done, the invoice number. I'm probably missing a few bits. So yeah, that gets saved, I keep that gets fired off, easy enough. I don't give receipts to each job I do, it's only if asked. Obviously I keep a record of everything I do, but you know, you don't have to necessarily provide receipts and invoices. The invoices, if you're working kind of in a business setting, like not a gardening business sort of thing, it may be kind of the case where you send off the invoice, they've got 30 days to pay it, and you kind of have to do it that way. What I find is the people who want an invoice just basically want it for their records, so I find that they pay straight away anyway, then I'll fire off the invoice to them. So when a customer haggles, you get the odd one, not too many really. I tend to read a lot of comments on here about customers haggling and stuff. It's haggling on price, wanting it for cheaper, or they may say if a job is kind of, say you quoted £80, they might say I'll give you, I don't know, 70 cash or whatever, you know, some sort of bartering or haggling. To me, the price is my price. It annoys us a little bit when people do that. As I say, it's few and far between. I have had it though, and it's like, well, the price is my price. It's, you know, it's a tough physical job that we do, and you know, it is what it is. Just they might be thinking that they're doing you a favour as well, saying, you know, knock a couple of quid off for cash. You know, that's kind of how people think in it, and you know, I do it on the basis of my price is my price, whether that's cash or bank transfer, and they're the only two, plus PayPal, methods of payment that I accept. Checks, never done checks. Probably, I don't know anyone who still does. People do tend to sometimes take a card reader out. There's a few people watching this channel who use card readers. It's something I've never bothered with, to be honest with you. I don't really find the need for it. I find all my customers' payments work nicely. Cash or transfer, it's easy enough.
So if you're sat here watching this and you're genuinely serious about starting your own gardening business, or if you've already started but you need maybe a little bit of help and guidance, then I have set up a website. You can book a 1 hour slot with me. The idea being you can pick my brains, I can pass on all the experience that I've learned over the years, and hopefully it can set you off on the right footing. No pressure, the link's below. Have a look, see if it's for you. Cheers.
So this is quite an awkward one. Someone who is unhappy with your service. I don't think I've had it, although I tell a lie as I'm saying that. There was one time I made a bit of a mistake, but it wasn't really, because she sort of gave us free rein of the border. So I took out something that she didn't want taken out. I probably could have been a bit clearer. It was a few years ago now. It was kind of in the early years of doing this. So she wasn't happy that I took it out. So I think, what did I do? I can't even think. I probably offered to buy her a new one. I think it was lavender plant. I think I offered to buy her a new one, or give her a bit of money back, or take a bit of money off the final bill. Something like that. But what do you do in that scenario if the customer's just totally not happy with your work? I guess it depends on the severity of it, and if you've absolutely butchered the job. Now, if you have, you've got to be honest with yourself and, you know, genuinely, and sort of hold your hands up and say, right, I can't charge for this. I'm sorry, get someone in to kind of put it right, sort of thing. If you're butchering jobs, properly butchering jobs, you probably shouldn't be doing gardening or, you know, charging people. You've got to be a certain level, and then with the aim of kind of improving as you go and getting better, you've got to be at a certain level where you know, when you're charging customers, work on friends and family, whatever, do your own garden practice and stuff, and then go and charge people. If the kind of customer's got a little kind of query, so this comes up a lot, so lawns, edges, borders. To me, the edge of a lawn is the edge, and you trim the edge, make it neat. The border is the border, but sometimes a customer might call the edge, the border the edge, where, you know, obviously they've got flowers and stuff, and they might say, can you do the lawn and the edge? To me, that is the lawn and the edge of the lawn, making that nice and tidy and, you know, straight lines and that. I now know to kind of double check the language used, the terminology, because that has come up before, and they kind of come back and say, oh, I thought you were going to do the border, you've quoted for the border. I said, no, quoted for the lawn plus the edge, that's the border. There's a big difference, and there could be a big difference on price if the border goes all around the lawns. You know, that's a big job with a decent chunk of money added on there. So you've just got to be upfront in the beginning, no grey areas, detail exactly what you're going to do, put it down in writing. I just send a text message. I don't mess about with fancy quotes and stuff. I've never found that to be an issue. Email, text message, whatever. I wouldn't do it over the phone unless like it's a simple grass cut, like unless you're doing one thing. You know, you've got it on a text message to look for both of you to look back to. You've got the price there, black and white. You know, that's it for me. So this one comes up from time to time, and it's quite in the early days, it's a bit like it might make you feel a bit crap. So what do you do when a customer asks you to do something that you don't do? So for instance, they might say, can you chop that tree down? You might say, oh, hang on, I don't do tree work. Or I might say, I get this a lot, turfing. I don't do turfing. I get asked maybe once every couple of months if I do turfing. So in the early days, you feel a bit rubbish, and you kind of, you want to please, you've got to, the customer's always right. You've got to do everything for the customer. You know, you can't be seen to have any weaknesses almost, or, you know, that's the sort of feeling you get early on. As you go through it, you kind of like knuckle down, and you just got to say, look, I'm sorry, that's not an area that I cover. The worry is, obviously, they sack you off for whatever else you might be doing if you've got the customer anyway, and then say, oh, do you do that as well? And then you say no, you might be worried in case they sack you off and get another gardener who does everything. That's life, that's the way it goes. There are a few instances where you can kind of like, in your mind you think, well, I'll probably be able to do that. And if it's kind of a little push, then you might want to try it. Other than that, I just say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. This is where having contacts is good, because then you don't come across totally useless. And there's a lot of times where I can refer them to someone. So that is a really good tip. If you have like sort of maybe, you know, I know a tree surgeon, I give him a fair bit of work. There's kind of landscaping companies, you know, that do fencing, decking, turf and patios, you know, I can refer for that sort of thing. So you're of some use to the customer, do you know what I mean? I think that's quite important for kind of your own morale a bit as well. So this is one where a customer requests quite an urgent job to be done quickly. That puts you on the spot, that kind of messes with your diary potentially. This is basically just a judgment call. Do you want to do it or not? Quite often, well, it's never going to be kind of like me pipes burst, there's water spewing in the toilet all over the place. It's, you know, with gardeners, it's not going to be too urgent. The only thing I'm maybe thinking is like trees have fallen down or whatever, stuff like that. My fence has fallen down. That's probably about as urgent as it gets off the top of my head. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. At the end of the day, it's your gardening round, it's your life. If it's a weekend work, if you've got kids or whatever, if you want to go and spend Saturday morning doing a job, which I do. I do a fair few Saturday mornings with my hedges. I find I can fit them in better on a Saturday morning, so I don't mind working weekends personally. It's a judgment call. So what do you do when a customer goes quiet on you? So this might be kind of when you're arranging a quote. So I've had this quite a few times, time wasters basically. So basically, like, the customer will contact you. They'll say, can you come and give us a quote? You are in the process of arranging that, kind of asking addresses, when you're going to be there, sort of thing, because you should always basically never quote from photographs. You can ask for a photograph, but that should only be on the basis of whether you look at it and say, right, I'll go to the garden and quote, or look at it and say, no, probably not for me. Should never ever quote just purely from a photograph. You can't see the bigger picture. So what do you do when a customer goes quiet on you? Let them go. You've dodged a bullet. Don't worry about it. If they're a customer who's gone quiet on you and you're actually sort of doing work for them like a regular job, you might not see the customer all the time. As long as they're paying you, then it's fine, whatever. Like, I'll send them, there's gardens where I'll send the customer a text message because they're always at work. I never see them. I'll drop them a message. I'll say, garden done, thank you, whatever you want to say. And it annoys us slightly if they don't message back and say thank you. But when I look in my bank, the payment's there. You know, that's all right, that's fine. So if they're not getting back to you, chances are they're either not bothered, they're not prepared to pay half decent money, or they found someone else. So just kind of put them on your block list, whatever you want to do. So what do you do when you cannot work? So this is something that does happen from time to time. And now I'm not talking about rain, I'm talking about yourself. So illness, injury, basically are the two. Family kind of life, you know. Scenarios obviously where you can't work. So the first thing you've got to do is inform the customer. Just message or a text as quick as you can, and then kind of figure out how long you might be off for. If it's an injury and you're not sure, or an illness you might be alright in a few days, but if it's an injury, then I kind of would work it week to week. So I would message the customer and sort of say, I kind of come, I've done whatever, I've hurt me, you know, I've got a bad wrist at the moment, I've hurt my wrist, hurt my leg, whatever, hurt my back, it's always a back. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be out for, but I'll be in touch, don't worry, and then kind of assess it week to week. I'd personally do it that way, rather than giving them an unrealistic time frame, or kind of almost saying, I don't know when I'll be back, and then just leave it and nothing. You've got to keep that communication open with them a little bit, and that's all you can do at the end of the day. If you cannot work, you cannot work. That's, you know, what being self-employed is all about. It's a gamble in that sense, really, and there will be times where you cannot work. It is what it is. It's you get a lot of perks with this job, and that's one of the downsides, obviously. Right, so what I want to ask you to do, if you've tolerated me, especially through the 2 videos, if you put up with us, then you mustn't think I'm too bad. Hit that subscribe button, really helps the channel. I've got so many videos like this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.